Well, I think people have been pretty fascinated, with the kind of label. And I think there is some intrigue and interest in inherited wealth. And to be perfectly honest, that grabs people's attention. I mean, if we were just two kind of nobodies from nowhere writing about this topic, would many people read the book? Would they be as interested?
I don't think so. Well, I've written a few novels and movies, made a few movies that have dealt with this subject. So it was interesting just to really, that have skirted and flirted with the subject, but it was interesting to really examine it, from a very specific point of view about social climbing and how did what used to be called, ass licking and brown nosing become networking. And so that's really how we approached it, and we'd always laugh at it. And though, we come from different ends of the spectrum and have had different lives, but, with my experience in show business and the literary world, a lot of social climbing goes on there. It's a simple bloodline. Her father is Jimmy Johnson, and very wealthy man, and my father was a college professor. Not really. I've had
a Velcro climber.
A Velcro climber. No, actually, she's sort of a swan,
That's way too generous, gosh.
Survival of the fittest would be you attack the people and ravage them and take what they have. But social climbing is really you befriend them and get them to really cook meals for you and invite you over for dinner so you survive. So it's a fundamental
to make your life better.
Yeah. And then you drop
so they don't kill you.
Then you drop them and then they might kill themselves, but that's the idea. You just move on. And that is how social climbers really work and how it works in our society.
Well, I think she just happened to fall in love with very wealthy, powerful men.
Over and over and over again.
Well, she was so successful, and in her situation and in the others of many great mountaineers, it's often hard to tell who's climbing whom. There's this reciprocal relationship, I think, with the people who are in it.
And she knew how to use the social situation when she was married to Harriman to run a salon in Washington and advance very admirable liberal causes, and she was able to do it efficiently. But, she was like a heat-seeking missile when it came to power and wealth.
Well, there's the good old-fashioned phony, the Velcro climber, the mysterious stranger. Let's see, what else did we have?
The tactician.
The tactician, that's right.
Yeah. Well, a Velcro climber is someone, who just sticks so close to you, and just never takes the hint to get lost. So
it's easier to just befriend them than to get rid of them.
Yeah, so they get invited to the party by sheer persistence. And then, the tactician is the sort of person that becomes friends with 6 people, different people, to really meet the 7th. So he meets the cousin and the boy. He works his way through. He sees the long game. And
good old-fashioned phony is just someone who knows that flattery will get you everywhere, and that honesty is rarely the best policy.
And they really seem nice and just innocent, and they don't know what they're doing, but they know exactly what they're doing.
Social climbing is hard work. There's no doubt about it. And, I think everyone needs a good game plan when they get out there to whatever type of event they're attending.
Well, no matter what people, rich and powerful and famous men and women tell their shrinks, they never get tired of hearing how great they are. So, there's that factor. Flattery will get you everywhere. And, we're all like dogs. If you rub our stomachs, we just roll over. I think everyone's that way, really.
Yeah, I think it's similar with, unicorns, celebrities, people who are just uber famous. They want someone like you to make them feel normal. Like a real person. Not that you're getting to know them
because they're what we call people with massive power and connections and power. Clout.
The other thing is, I think you get to a certain point and you have to ask yourself, are you insulted or are you entertained? I think a great social climber is completely worth their tab. They're entertaining. They're the life of the party.
And they fill the party. I mean, in Washington, they serve a great purpose. From my knowledge of Washington and seeing how events run there, I mean, just the pursuit of ambassadors, or the people pursuing friendship with the Kuwaiti ambassador's wife, and the whole thing of trunk shows and lunches at the Cafe Leopold. I mean, it seems relentless, and lobbyists are kind of professional social climbers in a way.
Well, I think to a large extent, it is just a nasty label. And what is it that makes social climbing different from networking? I think that often it's when money is involved, somehow it becomes social climbing rather than networking.
Or you can social climb for a good cause. I mean, the Dalai Lama is out every night of the week. And, it's for an undeniably good cause.
Yeah, he's
so
on Twitter,
is that a social climber? Or is that a networker? Or what is it? But everyone wants to be, let's say, on the list of the British ambassador, on his party list. That's a big thing. And I've seen people really go to extreme lengths to get there. People feel if they get near someone rich and powerful and famous, they feel better about themselves. And those around them judge them accordingly and think, it's like that we always talk in our book, and when we talk about celebrities and social climbing with celebrities, it's how they're magical in that just being their friend makes you famous for being their friend.
But it's also their varying degrees. I mean, how well do you know someone? Have you been asked to be the godparent of their child, their trustee, their mentor? They're all levels of the game.
The one I admire most is Aristotle Onassis. Has to be. He had the most fun, via social climb. I mean, when he arrived in the 20s as an immigrant, or teens really, in Argentina, he had less than $100. And, he spent any dollar he did earn on expensive suits so he could squire wealthy ladies out, and he began from there. And, was a great businessman, but he did also use social entree and that he pursued aggressively to rise and ultimately end up with Jackie Kennedy. Not admirable, but he had the most fun. I mean, a Dalai Lama is the most admirable social.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I find, I am, related to very rich people. So I, by no means, am on a level on the ladder that we're advising people to aspire to. We're advising them to climb much, much higher. So I don't necessarily have a lot of, I can't say that I can pinpoint people who are surrounding me in my life that I find amazing at social climbing or detestable social climbers. But certainly I'm impressed these days with, especially in the realm of the reality TV, social media, just the families that have succeeded in climbing together. Look at the Robertsons or the Kardashians. I mean, it's kind of incredible how you can really be successful as a whole family of people climbing for the same goals.
Well, being famous for having bad taste is another fascinating thing. I mean, that's kind of remarkable. But, we don't tell you, our book doesn't tell you what to want. It just tells you how to get it with the least possible, sweat and tears.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, we're advising people to deceive in order to make their lives better and have more fun. And I think that there's a large amount of absurdity here that we're talking about and dealing with in the book. And this is all for fun. I mean, if we didn't find it kind of amusing, then we wouldn't have written about it. And I think the book forces us to raise some more serious questions, which are, gosh, why is it that we can't accept ourselves the way we are, or why aren't we honest with one another about our intentions for getting to know people and developing relationships with them? But ultimately, this is all about fun and humor and having a good laugh out loud. Yeah, I mean, short of framing someone for murder or you get to choose in life how other people make you feel.
We wrote the book to stir the pot, just to write a satire of how-to books. And to poke fun and make people think about, why are we so uncomfortable with the term social climbing? I mean, social climbing is democracy in action. We're a country of immigrants. Everyone came here to climb the ladder.
And many still do come here to seek that kind of opportunity for upward mobility.
Yeah, so why is self-advancement embarrassing or somehow pejorative? That's what interested us.
I don't mind if they are. Certainly. I think it's kind of entertaining. But the other thing is, I think there are different ways of being wealthy. For me, wealth is more about well-being than kind of a number or a certain amount of money. As I said before, I'm extremely fortunate to be related to wealthy people, and if I do my social climbing right in the family, then I have access to some, luxuries that make my life seem more exciting to others. And certainly I've been snubbed a fair share in my own life. Well, I think people have this assumption, and they, have this stereotype. They really want to believe that I am a rich snob who travels around the world and goes to all of these extravagant parties, flying, privately, et cetera, et cetera. And at the end of the day, when they get closer to the reality and they see, they're a house guest with me for the weekend and the dog messed on the floor, and, I got to get up in the morning and deal with the farm stuff. It's just not as fabulous as they had imagined.
They have a fantasy. And what people don't realize is that social climbing is really, the biggest social climbers really in the world are the very, very wealthy, because they've worked hard, they've accumulated fortunes, and then they want the best. But there's not that much of the best to go around. I mean, you want a blue Picasso. Do you have the best blue Picasso? How much of one of a kind is there? And
I feel like they have the same insecurities as everyone else in the world. They're comparing themselves to others. We all tend to do that from when we were very little. People kind of made us more conscious about how we behaved in comparison with others, what we had, how much money we had. We're in this kind of vicious competitive cycle that drives us to keep climbing and climbing the ladder.
I mean, philanthropy is so much about social climbing. I mean, if it was pure good-hearted giving, no one would write their name on a building. And so social climbing has this positive thing that people want to impress, to boast, to brag, but we should call it what it is. I mean, that's sort of the fun point of the book. Oh, I have a lot more party invitations. Seriously.
But also people are very nervous.
Very nervous.
You talk to them and they're like, do you think I'm a social climber?
Yeah.
And then they go into this detailed description of how they're not, even if you haven't said anything.
Yeah, instantly.
I mean, we're not, if you're offended by what we've written, I think it's a dead giveaway, and you should try to find a copy and read it in secret. But essentially, we're not judging people harshly here. I mean, ultimately, you have the Puritans to blame for feeling guilty about wanting a better life.
Yeah, and especially at Thanksgiving time, we should remember that they started it.